Do not scroll. Do not look away. I am Archangel Michael, and I am speaking to you now because this moment is marked. This message did not reach you randomly, and you did not pause by accident. Heaven interrupted you because a determination has already been made. A test you did not know you were taking has ended, and the result has been sealed. You passed. And because you passed, a reward has been authorized and is already being released. Stay with me until the end. This is not the time to rush, and it is not the time to doubt. What is unfolding now has been building quietly, invisibly, precisely. You were being watched in moments no one applauded. You were being evaluated in silence when it felt like nothing mattered. Every response, every restraint, every time you chose integrity over impulse was recorded. Nothing escaped notice. Nothing was overlooked. You thought you were just surviving. You thought you were enduring a difficult season. But heaven was observing how you handled pressure without recognition, delay without bitterness, and silence without complaint. The test was never about perfection. It was about consistency. It was about who you remained when the reward was not yet visible. And that is why this message finds you now, at the exact second it was meant to. I stand beside the authority of God as this is spoken. The test is complete. There is no retake. There is no extension. There is no reversal. What was required of you has been fulfilled, and what was withheld is now being unlocked. Even now, movement has begun in realms you cannot see. Decisions are shifting. Timing is tightening. Paths are being cleared. Stay here. What comes next matters. You may feel it already, a pressure in your chest, a stillness settling, a sense that something has shifted even though nothing around you has changed yet. That is not imagination. That is confirmation. When heaven finalizes a verdict, the spirit responds before circumstances follow. This is the calm that comes after evaluation, the quiet that follows completion. Do not question why it took so long. Tests are not timed by your comfort, but by your readiness. If it had ended sooner, you would not have been fully formed for what is now being released. The reward coming to you is not fragile. It carries weight. It requires stability. That is why the test was thorough, and that is why you were allowed to feel stretched beyond what you thought you could endure. Listen carefully. This reward is not coming because you asked louder. It is not coming because you proved yourself to people. It is coming because you remained aligned when no one was watching. That is what heaven honors. That is what qualifies. That is why this release cannot be stopped, delayed, or redirected now. Do not disengage. Do not assume you have heard enough. Each part of this message is unlocking your understanding layer by layer. The next section will reveal what kind of test you passed and why it had to be hidden from you while it was happening. Before you continue, respond in agreement. Type Amen in the comments to seal this moment. Like this message as a sign that you are staying aligned. Keep watching. Something more is coming, and what follows will confirm that this reward is already closer than you think. Remain still and do not break your focus now. I am Archangel Michael, and I am revealing what was hidden while you were walking through it. The test you passed was not announced because if you had known you were being evaluated, your responses would have been influenced by expectation. Heaven needed to see the unguarded version of you. The test was woven into ordinary days, quiet disappointments, delayed answers, and moments where you could have reacted, but chose restraint instead. This was a test of character under pressure, a test of obedience without reward, a test of humility when recognition was absent. You were watched not when things went right, but when they stalled. Not when support surrounded you, but when silence did. The question was simple, but the weight was heavy. Would you remain aligned even if nothing changed? You were tested in how you handled disappointment, when promises felt distant, when doors almost opened and then closed again, when explanations never came. You could have hardened. You could have grown cynical. You could have compromised your values to speed things up. Many do, but you did not. Even when you questioned quietly, you did not abandon your foundation. That mattered more than you know. I saw the moments you were tempted to speak out of frustration, but stayed silent. The times you wanted to walk away, but chose endurance instead. The times you felt unseen, yet refused to become bitter. These were not small moments. These were the moments the test was actually happening. Heaven does not measure loud faith, it measures sustained faith. You were also tested in private obedience, in choices no one applauded, in decisions that cost you comfort, approval, or ease. You obeyed when it would have been easier not to. You waited when you could have forced. You trusted when evidence was thin. That kind of obedience cannot be taught. It must be revealed under pressure. And it was. Understand this clearly. The test was not designed to break you. It was designed to reveal you. What was revealed was consistency, not perfection. Sincerity, not performance. Stability, not impulse. That is why the test had to last long enough for patterns to emerge. One good choice is effort. Repeated right choices under strain is character. You may have wondered why certain opportunities disappeared or why timing never seemed to line up. Those moments were checkpoints. How you responded determined whether the test continued or concluded. Each time you stayed aligned, the test moved closer to completion. Each time you chose integrity over impatience, something shifted in your favor. Do not minimize what you endured. Tests that qualify you for lasting reward are never light. They press on endurance, identity, and trust simultaneously. But hear this now, the hardest part is over. The evaluation phase has ended. The verdict has been issued. I say this with authority. You did not fail silently. You passed decisively. That is why movement is happening now. That is why resistance is lifting. That is why the reward does not need to be negotiated. It has been approved. Stay with me. Do not scroll away. The next section will reveal how heaven recorded your responses and why what you passed qualifies you for more than you expected. Before you continue, acknowledge what you endured. Type "I stayed true" in the comments, like this message as a sign of recognition. Keep watching. What is coming next will show you how nothing you went through was wasted, and it is closer than you think. Stay attentive. Do not let familiarity dull this moment. I am Archangel Michael, and I am now revealing what heaven recorded while you thought nothing was happening. Every response you gave during the test was documented, not by people, not by systems, by heaven itself. There is a record of restraint where you could have reacted, a record of obedience where you could have rebelled, a record of faith where you could have withdrawn. Nothing you did in secret was ignored. You were being measured by patterns, not moments. One good day does not complete a test. One bad day does not fail it. Heaven watched what you returned to again and again. Did you return to integrity after disappointment? Did you return to patience after frustration? Did you return to trust after silence? You did. That is why the record is strong. That is why the verdict is final. There were moments when your heart was heavy and your understanding was thin. Heaven noted those moments too. You were not disqualified for feeling tired or confused. You were qualified because you did not let those feelings become your identity. You carried them without letting them define your behavior. That restraint weighed more than any outward success. I saw when you chose not to speak against those who misunderstood you, when you refused to manipulate outcomes even though you had the ability to, when you stayed honest while others took shortcuts. These choices did not feel powerful at the time. They felt costly, but in the record of heaven, they carried authority. You were also observed in how you treated what was small, how you handled limited resources, how you stewarded little influence, how you remained consistent even when the environment did not reward it. Tests of greatness always begin in obscurity. Those who despise smallness fail early. You did not despise it. You honored it. That is why increase is now justified. Understand this clearly. Heaven does not forget quiet obedience. It does not lose track of unseen sacrifice. It does not overlook consistency just because it lacks witnesses. What you did when no one affirmed you built weight in the spiritual record. That weight is now being converted into favor, access, and release. You may wonder why the reward feels larger than the test itself. It is because heaven multiplies what is faithful. What you endured trained you to hold more than you asked for. You were not just passing a test to receive relief. You were passing a test to receive trust. Trust carries more responsibility than comfort. I speak this plainly. The record against you is clear. No accusation stands. No failure outweighs your consistency. No delay disqualifies your obedience. The account is settled. The approval is sealed. What is being released now is not based on potential. It is based on proof. Do not rush ahead. Let this truth settle. The next section will reveal how this record triggered heaven's response and why the reward was released without further testing. Before you continue, respond with agreement. Type "Heaven saw it all" in the comments. Like this message as a sign of acknowledgement. Stay with me until the end. What comes next explains why the door is already opening, and it is closer than you think. Do not look back now. I am Archangel Michael, and I am confirming something final and irreversible. The moment heaven closed the record, the test ended completely. There is no extension. There is no second evaluation. There is no return to that season. What you passed cannot be reopened, reviewed, or challenged. The authority has already spoken, and when heaven declares completion, nothing below can dispute it. This is important for you to understand, because part of the test was whether you would keep living as if you were still being examined, even after you were cleared. Many fail not during the test, but after it ends, by continuing to live in fear, suspicion, and self-doubt. That is not your assignment now. You are no longer under evaluation. You are under reward. I say this with clarity. Heaven does not test the same thing twice. When a lesson is learned and character is proven, repetition is unnecessary. That is why the pressure you felt has suddenly eased. That is why certain struggles no longer have the same grip. The test completed itself the moment consistency was established. What followed was confirmation, not examination. I stood present when the verdict was sealed. There was no debate. There was no hesitation. The record spoke for itself. Obedience outweighed weakness. Faith outweighed fatigue. Integrity outweighed frustration. The conclusion was clear. You are trustworthy, and trust is what triggers release. You may still feel echoes of the old pressure trying to return. That is habit, not reality. Seasons leave impressions, but impressions do not define authority. When old thoughts tell you to brace yourself, remind yourself that the evaluation phase has passed. You are not waiting to see if you qualify. You already have. Understand this now. The reward does not require further proving. You do not need to explain yourself to access it. You do not need to defend your past to receive it. The door is opening because heaven said so, not because circumstances improved. Circumstances will follow authority, not the other way around. This is why the release feels quiet. When a matter is settled, it does not need noise. Silence after a verdict is confidence. The reward does not arrive with tension because the decision is already made. There is nothing left to argue. I must say this clearly so you do not sabotage what is coming. Stop rehearsing failure. Stop expecting the test to restart. Stop preparing for loss where approval has already been granted. Carrying old fear into a new season delays enjoyment, not release. The release is already moving. I am standing guard over this transition. Anything that tries to drag you back into self-doubt, fear, or old cycles is being blocked. You are not crossing back into examination. You are stepping forward into manifestation. Do not disengage now. The next section will reveal why the reward did not arrive immediately after the test ended and how protection shaped the timing of its release. Before you continue, declare this truth. Type "The test is over" in the comments. Like this message as an act of acceptance. Stay until the end. What is coming next will explain why the wait after the test was just as intentional and why the reward is now unavoidable. Stay with me. Do not let impatience distort understanding now. I am Archangel Michael, and I am explaining why there was a space between the end of the test and the arrival of the reward. Many believe that once a test is passed, the release must come immediately. But heaven does not rush what must be protected. The pause you experienced after the test was not uncertainty, it was safeguarding. When the verdict was sealed, protection became the priority. What was approved carried weight, and weight attracts attention. If the reward had been released the moment the test ended, it would have entered an environment not yet fully aligned to sustain it. Timing is not only about readiness of the receiver, it is about readiness of the surroundings. Heaven waits until both are secured. You may have felt confusion during that interval. A strange calm mixed with lingering questions. You knew something had shifted, yet nothing had arrived. That was not delay, that was insulation. God was creating space so the reward could reach you without interference, dilution, or loss. Some blessings fail not because they are unapproved, but because they are released into noise. This one required silence. I watched as conditions were adjusted. Certain conversations had to end. Certain influences had to move out of proximity. Certain alignments had to be completed behind the scenes. You did not see these changes because you were not meant to manage them. Your role was to remain steady while heaven arranged the environment. And you did. Hear this clearly. The pause was not passive. It was active preparation. While you waited, access was being cleared. While you questioned, timing was being refined. While you rested, resistance was being redirected. Nothing stood still. The delay you feared was actually movement in a different direction. Many rewards are lost because the recipient demands speed over safety. That was part of the testing too. Would you trust heaven's pacing after the verdict, or would you grow restless and attempt to force what was already approved? You chose patience again. That choice reinforced trust. That is why the release now carries stability, not fragility. I say this with authority. The reward you are about to receive will not need recovery. It will not arrive half-formed. It will not require repair. Because heaven waited, it will come whole. Because heaven protected it, it will last. Because heaven aligned it, it will fit your life without chaos. You may notice that things are now beginning to move more quickly. Conversations resolving, decisions forming, opportunities aligning without effort. This is not coincidence. This is acceleration following protection. Once the environment is secure, heaven moves swiftly. Do not misinterpret the quiet before this moment as inactivity. That silence was strategic. It prevented premature exposure. It prevented sabotage. It preserved the integrity of what is now being handed to you. Remain present. The next section will reveal how your identity shifted during this protected pause, and why you are now recognized as someone heaven can trust with increase. Before you continue, acknowledge the wisdom of the wait. Type "I trust the process" in the comments, like this message as a sign of agreement. Stay until the end. What comes next will show you why the timing is now exact, and why this reward cannot miss you. Stay focused. Do not drift now, because what I am revealing explains why the reward is not just being given to you, but entrusted to you. I am Archangel Michael, and I am speaking about the shift that happened within you during the protected pause. While you thought you were simply waiting, heaven was confirming something deeper. Your identity changed from being tested to being trusted. This is a critical distinction. Tests examine reactions. Trust authorizes responsibility. During the pause, heaven watched how you carried yourself when no pressure was applied, when there was no urgency pushing you forward, when no immediate outcome demanded your response. This is where many fail because when pressure lifts, discipline often relaxes, but you remained grounded. You did not become careless. You did not abandon discernment. You did not lose reverence for what God was doing. That is why trust was confirmed. You may not have noticed the shift, but it was clear in the spirit. You stopped striving to prove yourself. You stopped rehearsing explanations. You became quieter, steadier, more discerning. That is the mark of someone who no longer needs validation to function. Heaven recognizes this posture. It is the posture required for increase. Hear this clearly. Rewards given without trust create instability. Rewards given with trust create legacy. What is coming to you is not meant to impress others. It is meant to position you. That is why heaven waited to see if you could hold peace before holding provision, clarity before influence, humility before elevation. You did. I observed how you handled stillness. You did not panic when nothing demanded your action. You did not chase noise to feel relevant. You allowed silence to shape you instead of threatening you. This is rare. This is why trust was established. Those who fear stillness misuse movement when it arrives. You learn to be anchored before being advanced. Understand this now. Being trusted by heaven changes access. You will not need to force doors open. Doors will recognize you. You will not need to announce yourself. Your presence will carry quiet authority. This is not pride. This is alignment. Authority that comes from trust does not need volume. You may notice that your discernment has sharpened. You see more clearly who belongs in your next season and who does not. You are less reactive to opinions, less influenced by urgency, less shaken by uncertainty. This is not withdrawal. This is stability. And stability is what allows heaven to release without fear of collapse. I say this plainly. The reward is being released because heaven knows you will steward it, not consume it recklessly. You will respect its purpose. You will honor its source. You will not confuse access with entitlement. That is why trust preceded release. Do not underestimate what this means. Many desire blessing. Few are trusted with it. You are being trusted. That is why this moment matters. That is why you must not return to old habits of doubt or comparison. Those habits belong to the testing phase, not the trusting phase. Remain attentive. The next section will reveal how resistance was cleared once trust was established, and why what once blocked you no longer has authority. Before you continue, acknowledge this shift. Type "I am trusted" in the comments. Like this message as a sign of acceptance. Stay until the end. What is coming next will confirm why nothing can stop what is now moving toward you. Do not lose your focus now. I am Archangel Michael, and I am speaking about what happened the moment trust was confirmed. When heaven establishes trust, authority is released. And when authority is released, resistance is confronted directly. What once slowed you did not disappear by chance. It was addressed. It was removed. It was stripped of permission. There were barriers you could feel but never fully identify. Patterns that repeated without explanation. Delays that appeared right when progress was close. That was not coincidence. That was resistance operating within limits. But limits change when authority enters. Once heaven confirmed you could be trusted, those limits were revoked. I was assigned to this transition. I did not negotiate. I did not warn resistance to move aside. I enforced heaven's decision. What stood in your way was not stronger than God's approval. It only remained because timing had not yet shifted. Timing has now shifted. Hear this clearly. Some battles are not meant to be fought by effort. They are meant to be ended by authority. You were not meant to exhaust yourself confronting what could only be cleared by heaven. That is why your striving did not produce lasting results before. The resistance was not personal. It was positional, and positions change. You may notice that things which once required struggle now require almost nothing. Conversations resolve without tension. Opportunities align without pressure. Obstacles that once felt immovable no longer demand your attention. This is not luck. This is clearance. When resistance is removed, movement becomes natural. Understand this. Resistance does not always look like attack. Sometimes it looks like delay, confusion, distraction, or fatigue. Those influences thrived when you were in testing mode. But trust shifted your position. And when position changes, access changes. What once had proximity to you no longer does. I say this with authority. Nothing that was removed is allowed to return in another form. Cycles have been broken, not paused. Patterns have been interrupted at the root. This is not temporary relief. This is structural change. You are not stepping into a brief opening. You are stepping into a cleared path. Do not misinterpret the calm you feel as vulnerability. It is the opposite. Calm is evidence that the battlefield moved away from you. You are not unprotected. You are covered. You are not exposed. You are established. That is why fear feels unnecessary now. That is why vigilance has softened into awareness. I caution you gently. Do not resurrect resistance through expectation. Do not anticipate problems that no longer have authority. Old habits of bracing for impact belong to the previous season. You are not under threat now. You are under movement. The one thing required of you now is agreement. Authority works when it is not doubted. Trust what has been cleared. Walk forward without suspicion. Receive without interrogation. The reward moving toward you does not need defense. It needs reception. Stay with me. The next section will reveal how this clearance created acceleration and why timing is about to compress in ways you did not expect. Before you continue, declare alignment. Type "the way is clear" in the comments, like this message as an act of faith. Stay until the end. What comes next will explain why things are about to move faster than you imagined, and why this speed is safe for you now. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak now to confirm what your spirit already knows, but your mind has been questioning. The test is complete, and before the reward moves, your inner witness must be settled. Heaven does not rush those who are still doubting what they carry. That is why this moment is quiet, heavy, and unmistakably still. This is the sign you asked for without realizing you asked. Do not scroll. Do not move. This confirmation is for those who stayed sensitive enough to feel it. Notice your body right now. The calm that arrived without explanation. The pressure in your chest that is not fear. The stillness that silenced racing thoughts. These are not emotional fluctuations. These are somatic witnesses. Signals permitted when a test has ended and authority has shifted. Your nervous system is responding because resistance has been lifted. What was weighing you down has stepped back. You passed. That is why the tension broke. Many asked for external proof, but heaven confirms inwardly first. Peace does not come to those still under evaluation. Stillness does not rest on those who must remain alert for correction. The quiet you feel is permission. It is the signal that you are no longer being measured, you are being prepared to receive. This is why distraction feels louder right now. It is trying to pull you away before recognition settles fully. Stay with me. This moment matters more than you think. If your breathing has slowed, if your shoulders dropped without effort, if your mind suddenly stopped rehearsing outcomes, that is the mark. I am standing close, and where I stand, chaos cannot remain. The test required restraint. This confirmation requires trust. Do not dismiss what your body is telling you. The body knows when warfare ends before the mind catches up. Type "I feel the peace" in the comments if you recognize this stillness. This is not engagement, it is alignment. Agreement anchors awareness. If you felt warmth move through your hands or a gentle heaviness settle over you, that is the seal forming. Do not analyze it away. You are not imagining release, you are experiencing it. I am telling you now, the absence of urgency is intentional. When something is about to be taken, anxiety rises. When something is about to be given, calm settles. You are calm because nothing is being threatened anymore. The struggle that trained you has stepped aside. The silence you feel is the space being cleared for arrival. Like this message now if you understand that confirmation does not always shout. Comment, "The test is complete," if you are ready to stop bracing and start receiving. Keep watching. Do not leave. The next movement explains what the reward is and why it must come quietly. If you stay, you will understand why this peace had to come first and why it could only come now. I am Archangel Michael, and now I reveal the nature of the reward that is being released to you. It will not arrive with noise. It will not announce itself to crowds. It will come quietly, personally, and precisely, because it is calibrated to you, not to comparison. What is loud invites interference. What is quiet arrives intact. This is why heaven chose secrecy for your reward. You pass the test without applause, and you will receive the reward without spectacle. This reward is not generic. It is not a copy of what others received. It carries your name, your history, your restraint, your obedience woven into it. That is why it could not come earlier. It required your maturity to handle it without needing validation. You no longer need to prove anything. That is how I know you are ready. Stay with me. Do not scroll. This understanding protects what is already moving. You may have expected something dramatic, but heaven often answers deeply before it answers visibly. This reward will feel like alignment before it looks like change. It will touch the exact area where you learn to stay faithful without reassurance. That is not coincidence. That is justice. God does not forget where you were tested the hardest, and neither do I. What is being released may arrive through a conversation, an opportunity, a decision someone else makes, or a door that opens without struggle. It will feel natural, almost understated. That is how you will know it is from God. Striving will not be required. Explaining will not be necessary. When it arrives, your spirit will recognize it before your mind celebrates it. If you feel a subtle anticipation right now, not excitement but expectancy, that is confirmation. Expectancy is quiet confidence. Type, "I receive quietly" in the comments if you feel it. This is not about visibility. This is about readiness. Agreement keeps the channel clear. This reward is protected because it is purposeful. It will strengthen you, not distract you. It will stabilize you, not inflate you. That is why it comes personally. Others would not understand it. Others would mislabel it. What is meant for you does not require their interpretation. Silence is not secrecy out of fear. It is security by design. I am standing guard over this release. Nothing will arrive prematurely. Nothing will be intercepted. What is yours will reach you whole. If there was ever a moment to stay present, this is it. Like this message now, if you understand that quiet does not mean small. Comment, "It is mine, and it is protected," to anchor your spirit. Keep watching, do not leave. Acceleration follows reception, and what begins moving next will confirm that this reward is not symbolic. It is real, it is active, and it is already closer than you think. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak now of the window that has opened before you. This is the acceleration phase, the moment when what was restrained by timing is released into motion. You are not imagining the shift. What once resisted you is responding. What required effort is beginning to cooperate. This is not because circumstances suddenly became kind. It is because permission has been granted. The test is complete. The reward is active. Now momentum follows. Do not scroll. Do not disengage. Acceleration requires awareness. Many miss their window not because it never opened, but because they were distracted when it did. Stay with me. This explanation protects you from misinterpreting speed as chaos. Heaven does not rush. It advances with precision. You will notice things moving faster than you are used to. Messages answered quickly. Decisions made without delay. Opportunities forming without prolonged struggle. This is not randomness. This is compression. Time is folding in your favor. What once took months will take days. What once stalled indefinitely will suddenly resolve. If your heart feels alert but not anxious, that is confirmation. Anxiety accompanies danger. Alertness accompanies opportunity. This acceleration will not overwhelm you because it is proportional to your capacity. You were trained in slowness, so you could handle speed without panic. Many collapse when things finally move because they never learned patience. You did. That is why this phase is safe for you. I am regulating the pace. Nothing will outrun your discernment. If you feel a sudden clarity about what to do next, do not postpone it. Obedience now must be immediate. Delay belonged to the testing season. Responsiveness belongs to the reward season. When movement appears, step into it. When instruction comes, follow it. This is how acceleration compounds rather than scatters. Type, "I move when heaven moves," in the comments if you are ready to cooperate with this speed. This is not ritual, it is alignment. Agreement sharpens timing. If you feel energy rise in your body or a calm urgency settle in your chest, that is the signal activating. Be aware. Acceleration exposes intention. Those who move with integrity will advance smoothly. Those who hesitate out of fear will feel friction. Do not overthink. You are not being pushed. You are being carried forward by alignment. Trust the momentum that feels clean, calm, and clear. Like this message now, if you understand that speed is not pressure when it comes from heaven. Keep watching. Do not leave. The next instruction will teach you how to hold what is arriving so it multiplies rather than slips away. This window is open now, and you are meant to recognize it. I am Archangel Michael, and now I speak the warning that protects the reward you have received. Not every loss happens through attack. Some losses happen through mishandling. What heaven gives must be held with wisdom, restraint, and reverence. The reward you are carrying is real, active, and increasing, but it is also sensitive to how you treat it. Stay with me. Do not scroll. This instruction preserves what acceleration has begun. You are no longer being tested for endurance. You are being observed for stewardship. How you think, speak, and act in this next phase matters deeply. Pride will try to dress itself as confidence. Impatience will try to disguise itself as urgency. Comparison will whisper that you should prove something. These are not external enemies. These are internal leaks. I am naming them now so you do not fall into them unknowingly. Hold the reward quietly at first. Not everything growing needs exposure. Early visibility invites interference, opinion, and unnecessary pressure. Protection is built through discretion. You were trusted because you learned how to remain faithful without recognition. Do not abandon that wisdom now. Silence is not hiding, it is guarding. If you feel a seriousness settle over you right now, not fear but responsibility, that is confirmation. You are sensing the weight of trust. Type, "I steward with wisdom," in the comments if you feel it. This declaration matters. Agreement aligns behavior before mistakes form. Do not rush to spend what was meant to establish. Do not explain what was meant to mature. Do not celebrate prematurely what was meant to compound. Timing still matters, even after release. Many lose rewards not because they were unworthy, but because they treated sacred provision casually. You will not make that mistake. This is why I am speaking now. Be attentive to instruction. Guidance will come subtly, through inner restraint, quiet clarity, a pause where you expected impulse. Honor those pauses. They are not delays, they are safeguards. I am positioned around you to correct gently before consequences form. Listen when something feels off, even if it looks good on the surface. You are allowed to enjoy what has come, but enjoyment must not become ownership. What you received is entrusted, not possessed. Gratitude keeps the channel open. Humility keeps it flowing. Obedience keeps it multiplying. This is how increase remains increase instead of becoming burden. Like this message now if you understand that protection continues after reward. Comment, "I will not mishandle what heaven gave to seal this instruction." Keep watching. Do not leave. Separation and elevation are next, and knowing who cannot follow you is essential to protecting what you now carry. Stay alert. Stay grounded. What is coming next will clarify everything. I am Archangel Michael, and now I speak of the separation that must occur to protect your elevation. This is not rejection, it is refinement. When heaven advances someone, not everyone who walked with them can walk where they are going. This is not cruelty, this is order. The reward you carry changes your environment, and environments must be aligned to sustain what has been entrusted to you. Stay with me. Do not scroll. This understanding will guard your peace. You may already feel it. Certain connections feel heavier than they used to. Conversations repeat themselves without life. Some people no longer recognize the version of you that is emerging. This is not because you have become distant, it is because you have grown. Growth creates distance naturally when alignment ends. Do not force closeness where purpose has completed its assignment. Separation often happens quietly, not through conflict but through fading relevance, not through arguments but through silence. This is intentional. Loud separations create wounds. Quiet separations create clarity. I am ensuring that exits happen without unnecessary damage, so you do not carry emotional weight into the next season. You are not being isolated. You are being positioned. If you feel both relief and sadness at the same time, that is confirmation. Relief because pressure is lifting. Sadness because endings still matter. Both emotions can exist without contradiction. Type, "I allow what must fall away" in the comments if you feel this tension. This declaration aligns your will with what heaven is already doing. Elevation changes access. You will not be able to explain everything you are stepping into, and you are not required to. Explanation invites opinion. Alignment invites recognition. New connections will form without effort. People who carry clarity will sense you. Opportunities will meet you where you are, not where you used to be. This is placement, not networking. Be careful not to pull old voices into new rooms. Familiarity does not equal assignment. Some people were meant to help you survive, not advance. Honor their role without dragging them forward. This protects both you and them. I am guarding this transition so guilt does not manipulate you back into old cycles. You are not abandoning anyone. You are obeying alignment. When God elevates, he also reassigns. Trust that those who cannot follow you are being redirected, not punished. Their path simply diverges from yours now. That is not failure, it is completion. Like this message now if you choose elevation over familiarity. Comment, "I step forward without guilt to seal this movement." Keep watching, do not leave. Activation is next, and what you speak and agree with will determine how smoothly this elevation unfolds. Something is coming quickly now, and staying present matters more than ever. I am Archangel Michael, and now I command the moment of activation. What has been prepared, protected, and positioned must now be acknowledged through agreement. Heaven responds to alignment, and alignment is sealed through conscious participation. This is not performance. This is not ritual. This is recognition. Stay with me. Do not scroll. What you do in this moment determines how fully the reward integrates into your life. Activation begins with attention. If you are still reading, it is because your spirit is alert. Feel your body. Notice the steadiness in your breath, the clarity in your mind, the subtle readiness rising within you. That is not coincidence. That is responsiveness. Heaven does not activate those who are distracted. You are here because you are prepared to engage. Now speak with me. Quietly or aloud say, "I agree with what heaven has released." Let the words settle. Do not rush past them. Agreement is not volume, it is sincerity. As you speak, notice what shifts inside you. If you feel warmth, firmness, or a calm resolve, that is the activation taking hold. This is not imagination. This is alignment becoming operational. Now I instruct you to act. Type in the comments, "I accept the reward with wisdom." This is not symbolic. Action anchors intention. When you move, movement responds. This is how heaven distinguishes observers from participants. Those who speak alignment experience alignment. I am removing hesitation from your voice. Fear of hoping again is being cut away now. Fear of being disappointed is losing its grip. Fear of visibility is dissolving. These fears were permitted during testing, but they are not allowed to govern reward. I am clearing your expression, so what is released through you flows without resistance. Declare this next statement with authority. What was approved is active. What was delayed is released. What was mine is arriving. Do not analyze how. Do not measure when. Authority does not require details. Authority requires trust. If your chest feels steady or your thoughts feel ordered as you speak, that is confirmation. You are not calling something into existence. You are aligning with what already exists. This is important. You are not striving. You are receiving. Activation does not exhaust. It stabilizes. If you feel grounded rather than emotional, you are doing this correctly. Like this message now as a sign of agreement. Liking is not passive, it is a deliberate acknowledgement of readiness. Comment, I am aligned and ready to seal this phase. Do not skip this. Skipped steps create friction later. Completion creates flow. Stay with me, do not leave. The final seal is next. Inevitability will be spoken, protection will be confirmed, and urgency will be clarified. Something more is coming, and those who remain until the end will recognize it immediately when it arrives. Stay, this matters. I am Archangel Michael, and now I seal what has been activated. This is the final decree of this movement, and it is not fragile. What has been approved is inevitable. It does not depend on mood, timing doubts, or outside permission. Once heaven seals, reversal is no longer an option. Resistance may observe it, but it cannot redirect it. Delay may attempt to linger, but it no longer has authority. This is settled. Feel the firmness of this moment, not excitement, certainty. Certainty is quiet because it does not need reinforcement. You are not hoping anymore. You are standing inside a decision already made. That is why your spirit feels anchored. That is why the urgency you feel is not panic but focus. Stay with me. Do not scroll. This sealing completes what has been forming beneath the surface. I stand guard over the path ahead. No backlash, no sudden loss, no hidden cost. What arrives will arrive clean. What unfolds will unfold in order. What is released will not come with regret attached. I have been assigned to ensure protection not just during arrival, but after it enters your life. You are not walking into blessing uncovered. Now give praise, not because you see everything yet, but because recognition accelerates manifestation. Gratitude is not a reaction, it is a declaration of trust. Say this now. Thank you for what is already done. Let the words land. If you feel warmth spread, peace deepen, or you're breathing slow, that is the seal locking in place. Type, thank you, I trust this, in the comments. Praise stabilizes what inevitability initiates. I must speak this clearly. This connection does not end here. More instruction is coming. More confirmation is coming. More movement is already forming. What you have just completed was a gate, not a destination. Staying connected matters now more than ever. Those who disengage after sealing miss guidance for what follows. Do not make that mistake. Stay alert, stay listening. You may notice signs soon, small at first, then undeniable. A message, a shift in tone, a sudden opening. When it happens, you will recognize it instantly because your spirit has already been prepared. That recognition will be your proof. You will not need to ask if it is from God. You will know. Like this message now as an act of praise and agreement. Comment, I stay connected to affirm that you are not stepping away from this alignment. Share this with someone who needs to know that passing a test leads to release, not exhaustion. And keep watching. Something more is coming, closer than you think. And because you stayed until the end, you will be ready when it arrives.